welcome to this video, which will be about the French defense. The French defense is 1e4, 1e6. Against the French defense, I've made a somewhat controversial decision, and I'm quite surprised that it is somewhat controversial, but it's really what I experienced when I told people what I'm going to recommend. I'm recommending the exchange variation. It is quite funny. A couple of weeks ago, when I mentioned in a stream on Twitch that I'm going to recommend the exchange variation, somebody told me, if you are doing that, I'm not going to buy this product. Yeah, it's a disgrace. I found that was really funny. And if this person is now watching the full video and has bought it after all, that would be even more funny. Anyway, so let me tell you why I'm advocating to take on d5. That is not an easy decision. I've really taken some time to make my mind up what to do against the French. So the main lines against the French are knight c3, knight d2, and e5. All those three moves, they all feature most of the time a closed center with e4, e5. In the advanced variation, even immediately, or let's say if white plays knight c3 after black's moves knight f6 or bishop b4, which are the main choices, you're going to push e5 anyway. So in all those cases, we get a closed center. I'm going to use the exchange, the advanced variation positioning as an example. This structure even has the name French defense structure. And black players who play the French, they want this structure. They are aiming for it. They want white to take that space, and then they want to attack the center with c5 and f6, those ready-made pawn levers. And in fact, most black players feel very much at home there. They get this on the board every other game. If they play many opponents who play 1e4, they will get it every single black game. Yeah, this is often the case, for example, in junior competitions where e4 is very much featured in a vast majority of the games. So the French player wants this structure, and the best way to avoid it and to beat the spoils board is simply to take. After the capture, they won't get their closed position where they can play their typical maneuvers. Oftentimes they are used to play those slow closed positions, and they know really well what they're doing. Also, what is important to take note of, if you play one of the main lines, and I'm going with knight d2 just for an example, that was my initial idea, what I wanted to recommend against the French. Because of the closed nature of the position, black has a really wide range of moves available. Here he can play even moves like a6 and h6 are not ridiculous. It's because it's so slow and closed. And what I found out really is that if you want to tackle black with more of a mainline approach, you have to really learn lots of complicated theory, where oftentimes you run a considerable amount of risk to get into something where the black player just knows it better. And if you go for sidelines of the main lines, you're not going to have more than after the exchange. Also, what I found out is that actually some lines that I always felt to be harmless in the exchange variation, for black, they're in fact not that harmless. There are really some concrete ideas that you can play and that pose some problems. For example, I noticed that there are quite a number of games where Magnus Carlsen played the exchange French and obtained really nice and promising positions. That was really a revelation to me. I did not know that beforehand. One thing that also should be mentioned, black players usually hate to face this variation because and there are two things. They hate it because they don't get their closed positions where they can maneuver around, and they don't like it that they in fact now have this idea that the other side could play for a draw. Yeah, that it could be very boring. But we're not going to play for a draw, in fact. And this is a big point in our favor. We are just planning to play a somewhat slowish, risk-free game, but we're not going to play for a draw. Maybe the black player thinks we are and actually takes risks to avoid any boring situations. That can be very welcome for us, because then we will react accordingly, because the ambitious tries for black are not that great. So this is also an additional point in our favor. So that was a long speech, but I felt it was interesting and important to elaborate why I'm going for this line. First of all, we have to go back just a moment and examine that after d4, black does not play d5 all of the time. It is like the 99% of the time move, but just quickly. There is also the opportunity for black to play the move b6. This is just a transposition. We will transpose into 1 b6 the Owens defense after simple moves bishop d3, bishop b7, and knight f3. Yeah, this is examined via the 1 b6 move order, the Owens defense. It's pretty nice for white and examined in this other chapter. A move that is seen a little bit more often, but still super rare, is c5. Black is not playing d5, but rather attacks the center. After c5, the most principled move and the theoretical argument against this whole move order is to play the move d5. d5, however, leads into structures that are more typical of the Benoni defense, a d4 opening. And if you have some experience with that and know d4 openings like the Benoni, it's something you can probably play and should play. It is maybe the strongest move, grabbing the space. However, this is one of those cases where if you don't know the Benoni, the black side probably will have more ideas available. And for such a rare line, I have a simpler idea. Just go c3 and we will transpose into our line against the Sicilian with 2e6, where we play c3 anyway. For example, after d5 takes, queen takes, knight f3, we have transposed into this delayed Alapin variation. So a simple choice to transpose. So let's go and check the exchange French. And as you see from the length of this video, and I mean I'm just starting, I don't know how long it will be, but I expect it to be around 2 hours. This is actually quite something to look at. I'm really trying to test black here, so be ready for some lines to look at. So e takes d5. Of course, e takes d5 is the main move. Sometimes this is seen, queen d5. It's a bit weird to mix French and Scandinavian. I just wanted to mention one thing. Against this queen takes d5 move, we would definitely like to not play knight c3 here, but rather delay this and play c4 first. This is something due to move order concerns against the Scandinavian we don't manage. There the bishop can get out. Here this is not possible, so I just recommend to play something like this, where you play c4 first and then develop the knight. This is a very comfortable position to be in. Very rare though. E takes e5. This is what happens. And now we have this symmetrical position from the exchange French. So this is the really important moment, the first important moment. I hope you enjoyed this preview of the Keep It Simple E4 repertoire. You can get the full course on chessable.com, which features the move trainer that makes it easy and simple to learn all the lines and remember them. All lines are chosen with one thing in mind: keep it simple for you and make it difficult for your opponent.